Today I will be talking with a Zen Buddhist by the name of Haemin Sunim.
The more you think about your own death, you begin to appreciate your life more. And what if I die tomorrow? What regret would I have?
The reason I'm using Stoicism is I'm giving people something to work towards. The Stoics advocate for being good and being just, being courageous. And I think that gives people a push to work towards, and it's admirable. So I'd like to ask you what you think the biggest problem is today and how you, with your philosophy, would fix that problem.
I don't know whether I can say the biggest problem for today, but I think the biggest problem for human being is not embracing what is, always resisting the present moment. So we are hoping that whatever we have right now, we want it to be different. So because we want it to be different, we are resisting it, or sometimes we are rejecting what is already here. When we are rejecting it or resisting it, that energy of resistance makes us feel very unhappy, frustrating, depressed. It is not so much the outer circumstance is making us suffer. It is our response to the outer circumstance that is causing us to feel angry or depressed or sad, things like that in nature. So rather than quickly just assigning the cause of my unhappiness to outer circumstance, and maybe we can just pause and take a look. Hey, what's happening? I'm resisting to what is already here instead of appreciating, And when we can appreciate what's already here, then we look for what is actually right about this moment instead of focusing on what is wrong about this moment. Of course, when we focus on what is wrong about this moment, then you feel like a victim. You feel like nothing is going right. I am, really in a very unfortunate, things are not going like the way I wanted. That can make you feel incredibly unhappy. So I would invite people to check, maybe it has something to do with my response to what is given, response to what is, not necessarily what is.
It's so interesting. That actually lines up with Stoicism. There's a quote from Epictetus. He says, "It's not things that disturb us, it's our opinion about things." So it's not necessarily external, it's how our internal world interprets that. So that's quite interesting, actually. So the telos, or the end goal of Stoicism, is to live in accordance with nature, which basically just means to be good. Very simply put, is to be good. And the way the Stoics, they saw the world as either good, bad, or indifferent. So good is virtue, bad is vice, and everything else is indifferent. So good is things like courage, wisdom, temperance, and justice. To simply put it, they believe if you act in accordance with wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice, then that's all that matters. Everything else doesn't matter. What's your thoughts on this?
Yes. That kind of remind me of what I did last Sunday. As I was waking up, I went out. It was very early, like 5:30 or 6 o'clock-ish in the morning. I just walk along the river. And then I, ran into this lady, who's picking up garbage, like recyclable items, so that she can make a little bit of money. And this is a kind of big problem in Korea. That is, there is a problem with poverty, for the elderly people. So as I was looking at them, I thought about all of my my parents or my grandmother or my grandfather. They could have been one of them, and then naturally I wanted to help them, whichever I could. And so I looked at how much money I have, and then I was able to donate a little bit of money to her, and told her that, oh, please help yourself. Wonderful breakfast. You've been working all night. It's so wonderful that you are doing your best to better your life and all that things, just to encourage her and to feel connected with her. And although it was just small gesture, it took me a bit of courage to be able to talk to her and offer something, but it made me really happy for the next, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 hours later, and something shift within me. So when we do something good, it doesn't have to be like really conceptually, very difficult, challenging things. Something it can be as small as offering a little bit of money to somebody who really needs. We instinctively know that it feels good, So that is right thing to do. Whereas if we do something that is not right, what you call vice, then maybe it will keep you up at night. You wake up 3 in the morning and then you become anxious, worrying about things. So I think our body knows when we do something good, we feel very calm and happy and feel connected with other human beings or with nature or people around you. Whereas when we do something bad, then we are anxious and we feel isolated and lonely and we are afraid.
That's interesting. I really agree with that. The Stoics, there's a quote from Marcus Aurelius who's saying, you've done good, they've received it, why then, like a fool, do you wait for a third thing? And I think a lot of people, you were saying then that like doing the good is all you need to do. Like it's good for you to do the good. But a lot of people will do something nice and they expect like something in return. Like you give that lady the money and you're expecting someone to come along and like give you something now. Whereas the Stoics believe that doing good is just giving the lady the thing and that is it, because that makes you feel good and it's good for you. So that's interesting you said that. So I know this will line up with your teachings. Is something the Stoics teach a lot is about being present. They believe, like the past isn't real. It's gone. The future's not real. It's just imaginary. And also like problems in the past are infinite, problems in the future are infinite, because it's up to the imagination, and the imagination can create concepts like hell or heaven on an infinite timeline of past and future. So they believe in being present. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on being present.
When you are fully in the present moment, then notice that your thought stops. What's causing us to suffer is because we think about anxious thoughts, think about all the problems around me. So when there is a thought, it can create, emotional suffering because of it. Sometimes we feel emotionally hurt, as we rethink about what happened in the past again and again, as though we are already stuck. However, when we shift our attention to the present moment, what's in front of me, then what's interesting is that our thoughts, the patterns of our thinking mind, pause. It stops. Because we are really, rather than thinking about it, we're actually paying attention to what is. And if we can just pay attention and then maybe appreciate, it can be a glass of, I don't know, delicious coffee, or the smell of flowers, or good weather, or, nice music, whatever that is, and begin to see goodness in other people, then, amazingly, you are walking into this, not only truth of what is, but also feel like, the whole universe is not separate from me, but we are together, actually we are one, ultimately speaking. And that experience can only happen in this present moment.
That's so interesting you say that. I mean, the Stoics have this idea of sympatheia, where it's like we are all one. We're all part of this same like community of the world, and we share that part of us that's like, they called it the fragment of Zeus or the fragment of the divine. It's like a little special part that God gave us that connects us all. I think a lot of people though struggle with. You said like you quiet the mind, you stop the thoughts, you be present. A lot of people struggle with that. Do you have any technique or method to quiet the mind?
Well, one easiest way is to actually feeling your breath as you're breathing in. Your body feel relaxed as you breathe out. Your mind becomes calmer. And notice that this breathing is happening in this present moment. So breathing becomes the anchor to get in touch with in the present moment. So as you breathe in, so really feeling, whatever the sensation that the air is leaving you, behind in your body. And that's happening here, right here and right now. You don't have to imagine, you don't have to go somewhere else to feel it. It's happening here. So let the breath become the anchor.
Yeah, felt like then just breathing, then it grounds me. I actually do it quite a lot. Is before I enter a new situation, I'll take 3 deep breaths, just to kind of ground me again, because my mind's caught up in a few things, and I ground myself, and then enter that situation with like after being grounded. So there's a concept in Stoicism. It's a Latin word called Amor Fati, which just means to love your fate. Ultimately, they sort of believe that like God has given you what presents this life in front of you, and you can't stop that. Fate has been handed to you, and trying to resist this, trying to resist what is, that's what causes friction. That's what causes trouble. And if we can just accept fate, if we can love the fate that God gives us, and be present and enjoy what is given to us, accept it, be thankful for it, don't ask for more, don't ask for less, then that will lead to a good life.
Absolutely. Sometimes we resist to the things that you cannot change, right? And then like you can resist to the weather, bad weather, what good is that, right? Or there's a crying baby in your train or in the airplane. What can you do? So instead of resisting it and thinking that, oh, how come the mother is not controlling her child, and then thereby creating a lot of negative thoughts, and then just absolutely disliking the moment, you can just change your mindset and saying, oh, what if that person, she was my sister, maybe she's traveling alone with her daughter, and her daughter is crying. Then instead of attacking your sister, you feel very much compassionate, and is there anything that I can help her? At least you'll be able to connect it to the baby. Oh, maybe what if the crying baby is my niece, right? So this is sort of like a simple exercise. Rather than assigning that person to be a stranger, you can just think of the person, somebody very dear and important to you. And what if that person is going through what they're going through? Then, of course, our resistance becomes much, much less.
It's so interesting. So much of what you're saying is just like Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius says this. A lot of the Stoics talk about this, but they say that some of them say we should see everyone, even our enemy, as a brother or sister. But Marcus Aurelius, actually, in his Meditations, this book here, he talks about people as if they were a part of him. So like the same concern you have for yourself, the same love you have for yourself, is like you extend that to other people, such as the lady on the plane. So you kind of, it creates this empathy, I suppose. So I like that. Yeah, that would be helpful, because I always find it, when people are stuck in traffic and they're getting angry, or they're getting angry at the rain, I always wonder, I'm like, you're not going to make the traffic move by being angry.
Right.
There's another concept, dichotomy of control. Epictetus opens his Enchiridion with this. He says, some things are within our power, others are not. Within our power are our opinion, motivation, desire, and aversion. In a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power, our health, our wealth, our reputation, our office, and in a word, whatever is not of our own doing. So they believed, and what Epictetus is saying there, is that everything outside of ourselves is outside of our control. What is in our control is our inner world and how we respond to all these externals. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on this.
Right. We often feel stressed because we try to control that which we cannot control, especially our age, how other people think of us, especially on social media. Will they like us? How many likes did I get this time? But there is very little we can do. We cannot. We don't have a control over how other people think of you. Sometimes they have their own particular conditioning. While they're growing up, they might have liked, that type of person or this type of, personality, or the same thing that people say. However, that can be triggering, to them. But that has nothing to do with you, right? Because it has something to do with their past, what happened, while they were growing up. So just think about, whether what I'm suffering, like stressing over, is this something that I can control, or this is beyond my control. Well, when it's beyond my control, then all we can do is just relax, and then maybe focus on what we can control. So being able to differentiate, is this within my control or is this beyond, that can clarify and also lessen our stress.
Yeah, I completely agree. And so do the Stoics, is like, don't focus on the externals, the things you don't control, because that norm, I think most people, that will take up most of their energy, most of their thought, most of their emotion. You see a lot of people, they are getting stressed about the rain, and it's taking up a lot of their energy. They're like, oh, it's raining, I need it to stop, And if you can just clear all of this, don't worry about the rain, don't worry about the traffic, then you can give all your attention to what actually matters, what you can control. And I feel like this is how we lead calmer lives, quieter, more peaceful lives. And it's how we make more progress, because we're giving our attention to the things that actually make a difference in our life.
Right. Like, especially nowadays, we, read and watch news, whether it's BBC or CNN, or reading, different newspaper. And then it's very easy for us to become frustrated, especially about some particular policies, or, the way the famous people or people with power behave and talk, and, feel offended, but stop and think about, does this helping me, by, consuming so much of this news, or does it make me feel angry all the time? And, rather than looking at what is going right, maybe I'm just focusing way too much time on what is not going right. So that's a choice we can make. And then if whatever that we are consuming, especially social media or news and whatever, because we human beings are not meant to know what's happening in all the natural disaster around the world and all the war and everything that's going on, because we were supposed to be living in a small town, with I don't know, 150, 200 people, and that's how we used to live. But nowadays we are bombarded with so many different type of news, and if you just sit and watch it, because they often talk about what's not going right, you feel depressed and angry, but you can control that. You don't have to be the victim, of all the things that you consume.
Do you think seeing all these things on social media, seeing all these things on the news, like even though it's a disaster that's happened thousands of miles away, or it's the opinion of a person that you don't even know, do you think that's having a real impact on your emotions?
I think so. When it's all the negative news, because we human beings are wired to look for what is not right. Because in order to survive, we look for if there is any potential attack. Whether is there any lions, tigers around. So instead of looking for this, smell of beautiful flowers and wonderful sunlight and just enjoying it, we always look for what is not right so that we can protect ourselves. So that's like a wire within our gene, but we don't live in that environment anymore. We are not a caveman, so we can relax, and rather than zeroing on what is not right, we can really practice gratitude, for example, and writing down all the things that you feel grateful for, so that mindlessly just consuming all the negative news. Instead of doing that, you can intentionally look for a lot of grateful things around you. Because once you start looking for grateful things, and there are so many, there are so many, many, many wonderful things. Yeah.
It's interesting you say gratitude. The Stoics, that's the first ever practice from the Stoics that really changed my life, is because I always felt like life was kind of miserable and empty, even though I had a good life from the outside. And then I read the Stoics, and they talk about, stop trying to want more, stop trying to desire more. You already have a lot of good things. Be thankful for the things you have. And when I started doing that, I did an exercise where you think of 3 things you're grateful for and 3 things you're excited for. And I started doing this, thinking about my nieces and nephews, thinking about my health, thinking about the coffee that I was about to have, and I'd feel good. And it switched my mind. I was no longer looking for the bad. I just noticed the good, and it really did help me.
Yes, absolutely.
The next principle from the Stoics, I think it's really interesting, and a lot of people are kind of a bit concerned about this, or a bit disturbed by this, because it does sound disturbing if you've never heard about it or anything like this. But it's a thing called Memento Mori. So the Stoics what it means in English is to remember death, or remember your own mortality. And the Stoics would carry something around with them to remind themselves that they could die any moment. And I after reading the Stoics, I started doing this. It would help eliminate my anxiety, because I thought, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to die one day. But it would also help me be very present and appreciate the moment, because our talk right now, I could die just after it. I could drop dead, and I have to live life as if it's my last moment. So right now, I have to be here fully with you, and reminding myself of my own mortality keeps me very grounded and very present. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on Memento Mori and remembering your own death.
I think that is really beautiful teachings, because when we remember our immortality, our mortality, our death, then we begin to see what's really important, rather than imagining, what will happen in a year from now or 10 years from now, and chasing after. We can bring our mind to this present moment, and then live more intentionally. Whether saying, expressing how much I love the person, your parents, your brothers, sisters, your loved one, your children, rather than not expressing it. And if you remember your own death, then you would intentionally, do more things. Because what if this is my last moment and I didn't get to say I love you to my own child or my own mother or my own friend? So it clarifies it, our intentions and our priority. I think somebody told me that, to live with, to live life in mind is to live, to live death in mind is to live life with heart, life in heart. Does it make sense? Oh yeah, life in heart. So in other words, whenever we think about death, we think that, oh, it is something to be afraid of, Actually, the other opposite is true. That is, the more you think about your own death, you begin to appreciate your life more. So I think it's an important teaching and nice reminder to ourselves that we can always pause. And what if I die tomorrow? What regret would I have? Maybe I can do things that I felt I couldn't, because I was worried that other people will criticize me. It is just pure imagination, right? You do not know how other people really think of you. You just, imagining maybe they will not accept me, they will not like me, blah, blah, blah. But all of that is just your own limiting, belief. So rather than listening to that, you can say, hey, who knows, I might die tomorrow and I will just do what I feel is right for me, what is good for me.
Is there any teachings in Zen that are similar to this Memento Mori?
Well, in Zen Buddhism, the place where you meet your Buddha is right here, right now, the present moment, not in the future, not in the past, but right here, right now. So bringing your mind to the present moment is really a most important teaching. So when we stop thinking about our death, is just to imagine your life assuming that you have a lot and lots of years ahead of you, and thereby postponing a lot of things that you wish you could, something that you wanted to do, but sometimes you stop doing it because you thought you would have another 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So rather than living in that mindset, with that mindset, maybe what you have is this present moment, and present moment is the only moment.
Yeah, I love that. So there's this exercise that the Stoics do. It's called Premeditatio Malorum, which roughly translates to premeditate on the difficulties and evils that lay ahead. So the Stoics, Epictetus talks about this actually. He says, when you go to the public baths, remind yourself that at the public baths, people are rude, people push, people will swear, and you're going there expecting this thing, but your goal is to just remain good, is to remain true to your character. So what I used to do, and I still do this, but before I got on the bus to work, I'd remind myself that there's going to be rude people on the bus might be late, it might rain, my boss might be rude, all these kind of things. So the idea is just to prepare yourself for the difficulties of the day and then accept them and understand, I accept these things, but I will be good. And doing this, for me, takes away all the pressure. It's really great because when the bad things do happen, because they happen every day, I'm like, oh, I accepted that already, but I'm going to be me. I'm going to be good. What's your thoughts on this?
Right. Rather than assuming that everything will go right. And then whenever you see it, anything that's not going right, then you feel bothered, how come this person is not behaving, like the way this person was supposed to behave. We can just assume that peoples are different. We are different. And they're going to have their own issue. They will behave in a different manner. And then, maybe your boss might have had a huge fight at home right before coming to the work, or you just ran into some kind of traffic, and your car didn't move, and thereby you feel very frustrated, and then you arrive at your work, and then you don't feel as good. Your coworker might be in that state. So something that you have no control over. So rather than taking things personally and then imagining that peoples are really rude all the time, you can shift your mindset and saying, "Oh, we are bound to run into this type of challenges in our lives. People might behave not so friendly and very selfish way, but that's where they are coming from. So rather than me bringing my own judgment, I will just accept it, but I will just continue to be good."
Yeah, the Stoics had this idea of they seen challenges of life as a sparring partner. So, if you want to be a good boxer or a good wrestler, you need a good opponent, a good sparring partner to train you. And they seen, you ask for courage from God, and God gives you a challenge that requires lots of courage. So when they're faced with difficulties, they see it as a sparring partner that you need to learn to kind of fight in a way. And it's this challenge that helps you grow. I'm seeing today, and you probably agree, that I feel like anxiety is on a rise, especially with the younger generation. There's a lot of anxiety. I'm wondering if you have your thoughts on why this is and how you would combat this anxiety.
Sometime when you are using your social media and you are looking for outer validations, then you do things to please other people and hoping that they will say, "Oh, you look awesome, you look amazing," and whatever. But sometimes, especially on social media, there are a lot of people that you don't necessarily know, face to face, somebody you never met or something, and then they can leave very negative passing comments. Then you can become very stressed over this, or you become anxious about how other people would respond to whatever the post you have on your social media, for example. And then this can make you feel even more anxious because you have no control over. While looking for that by validation. So I can see why people will have more anxiety nowadays. But how can we go about lessening our anxiety? I think one of the best way to deal with anxiety is regular exercise. A lot of people ask me, is there any kind of meditation, some kind of trick that I can use to get out of my own anxiety, this routine, this trap? But one of the sure way to change your mood and to think less about other people is to do some kind of yoga or playing tennis or doing some lifting weights or playing basketball, things that, or even dance, go dance together with friends. So releasing your anxious energy out of your body through your bodily movement, I think that is one of the most effective way. So if you feel depressed, for example, you can just go out and walk around especially walk around beautiful nature, like park, local park, or the river, wherever that is, then definitely it helps. Because when we are just constantly thinking about something, especially anxious thoughts, that intensifies and thereby making it very harder for us to move away. So if you were to go out and walk around, then rather than thinking about things, you naturally pay attention to other things. Oh, there's a new interesting shops that I didn't recognize before. There's a very cute dog, is walking by, there's very nice smell, of food over there, something like that. So you pay less attention to your own anxious thoughts and more attention to what's happening around you, and thereby you feel connected, to your environment, and then you feel more grounded and less anxious.
Yeah, I like that because I feel like problems of the mind, we try solve them with the mind. So I certainly used to always do it. As if I was very anxious, I would try solve it with my head, and it would just keep going round and becoming more anxiety. It would make me worse and worse. And if you can get out of the head and into the body, because I feel like exercise helps you sort of get out of your head and into your body, then you stop thinking these thoughts on a loop, and you start to notice new things. You start to feel yourself in the world, experience your body, your breath, the sensations around you. You start hearing things, seeing new things, and you're no longer inside your head on this loop. You start just experiencing the world. I completely agree with that. That's something I like to do.
And another thing you can add is maybe quietly blessing other people. I do this all the time, especially in very crowded subway, metro. Rather than feeling like a victim, I look around and see somebody somebody who looks as though that person needs some blessing. Then you quietly say, "May that person be happy. May that person be healthy. May that person be peaceful. May that person be always protected." I quietly bless them. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be peaceful. May you be protected. And then, surprisingly, the time passes really quickly, and also as you are looking for somebody else to bless, rather than looking for somebody, who's annoying you, then it's a very nice way to shift your attention, and thereby you feel better about the situation and better about the world.
Yeah, I can't remember if I learned that from you in our last talk, or if I don't know if you wrote about it in this book, but I remember learning that from you some way, and I started doing it quite a while ago, and it really does, for me, it changed my perspective, where I was always caught up in myself, how I was feeling, but then when I started blessing people, it made me more empathetic, but then also it felt like it took away my problems in a way.
Yes, isn't it? Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, that is my experience too.
Great. So I think, as I said at the start, I think a big problem with today's society is like we have the wrong things to work towards, the wrong things to idolize. We're putting the wrong things on a pedestal, and we're also seeing I personally feel like the wrong idea of what it means to be a man or to be a woman. Like it is put on a pedestal that a man is rich and famous, when I think back in the day, like a man or a woman was just like a good person that was caring and that kind of thing. What do you think it means to be a man?
I don't know whether it applies specifically to men, but I think, if we can live a very fulfilling life, rather than measuring yourself, against somebody who's super rich, like, Elon Musk or something. But your aim is to have a fulfilling life. And that can be, many different things, right? If you have wonderful friendships, people around you, that friendship can be super enriching. and help you feel very happy and grounded. And, that's one way, right? Or another way is to what I'm about to do. That is, I'm going to soon go and feed the homeless. So, as you make yourself useful and help other people, then you feel, wow, not only you feel connected to other people, but also feel like my life has a worth. I feel I am, valuable, not because, I mean, because you feel like you get to do something that help other people, and that makes you feel really good. So, whatever that fulfilling life, the vision that you have, rather than thinking only in terms of achievement, whether it's, success, career success, or, accumulating huge wealth and, whatever, just translate into very concrete everyday activity that you can do, and then how you would feel about it, afterwards. At the end, I think, when you look back, how many people you really genuinely love, and how much contributions you've made and to make other people's lives better. And you had a very nice life with integrity, and also you learn quite a bit along the way. So you gain wisdom in this life. I think that's what matters. Love, wisdom, integrity, happiness and connections. I think that's what we are ultimately looking for. And we think that we can get there by becoming, super successful. But that's not necessarily true. Once you become super, super duper successful, you don't have a time to really appreciate, because you are, oftentimes I met a couple of super, successful people and they wake up 3 a.m. and worrying about all kinds of things they have to do, because they are in charge of so many people, different negotiations and, different lawsuits. So, yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for your time today. Thank you for your wisdom.
It was, lovely talking to you again, William.
Yeah, likewise. I really like talking to you, and I feel like I always learn something from you. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's so wonderful. So I hope you have a wonderful day. And whoever listens to this conversations, I hope you also have a wonderful day too.
Hopefully you enjoyed today's talk. I'll be doing many more like this with people from different backgrounds, hearing their thoughts on Stoicism and how it may differ or be similar to their own life philosophy. I will be talking with Tibetan Buddhists. I'll be talking with neuroscientists, psychologists, finance experts, and see how they use Stoicism in their life, or how they don't agree with Stoicism. We will see. I do recommend this book. It's the first book I read of Haemin Sunim's, and I really enjoyed it. It was very helpful. It explained his philosophy in a way that kind of made sense from the get-go. I didn't have too much knowledge at the time when I read it, and I understood it. It was very helpful, very practical. So hopefully you can go check out his books or check out his work. If you're listening to this on streaming platforms, subscribe, follow so you don't miss more, because I've got many more of these lined up, and I think it's really interesting to see about people's life philosophies and how they compare to my own life philosophy, and from that conversation you might be able to work out your own life philosophy. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening.